Hi everyone, it's Jennifer from Fiberflux. In this video, I will show you how to crochet the Cloudy Sky Mobius Cowl. For this project, you're going to need one skein of Lion Brand's Wool Ease Thick and Quick. The photo at the beginning of this video used the Glacier colorway. This is called the Oatmeal colorway. You'll also need a 9mm end crochet hook, a pair of scissors, and a tapestry needle for weaving in the ends. This pattern has a shorter version and a longer version. The shorter version measures about 5.5 inches wide and 28 inches long. The longer version measures about 5.5 inches wide and 38 inches long. Both versions used a skein of yarn. Obviously, the shorter version used a little less than the full skein. However, if you would like a much longer version, then you can go up to 2 skeins of yarn instead of the 1 skein. So let's begin. Get our scissors and our tapestry needle out of the way. So to begin our cowl, we're going to begin by putting a slip knot on our hook. To make a slip knot, wrap the yarn around your fingers and make a loop. Bring the yarn behind the loop, reach in with your crochet hook, bring up a loop, and tighten it onto your hook. Our cowl has a starting chain of 12. To make a chain, wrap yarn around hook and bring it through the loop. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So this is our starting chain. Looks kind of like that. So for the foundation row, we're going to work a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. This loop here does not count. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. To work a double crochet, wrap yarn around hook, insert the hook into the chain, bring up a loop, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. Just like that. Next, we're going to work a double crochet in each chain across the row. So we'll work a double crochet in this chain, the next chain, pull some more yarn out here, all the way across. Got our yarn. There we go. Okay. And then in these last 2 chains here, also work a double crochet. There we go. Okay, so our foundation row is complete, and it will look like this. So row 1, we're going to chain 3 and turn. 1, 2, 3, and turn our work. So for this pattern, we're going to be working in the spaces versus the stitches. So this is the stitch here, this little hole here, but we'll be working into the spaces. That is the area in between the posts of our previous row. So row 1, we're going to work a double crochet in the first space. So that would be this here. And then in each space to the end of the row. So we're continuing by working a double crochet in each space across the row. and then you double crochet into the turning chain space as well. Okay, so this is what row 1 will look like when it is complete. So let's move on to row 2. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn our work. And this is going to be that eyelet row that you see. So what we're going to do is work a double crochet into the first space, just like that. And then we're going to chain 2. 1, 2. We're going to skip one space, so we'll skip this space, and in the space after that, we'll work a double crochet. And that will create this decorative eyelet that you see. Okay, so we'll just keep working in this sequence across. So chain 2, 1, 2, skip the next space, and in the space after that, work a double crochet, chain 2, 1, 2, skip the next space, in the space after that, work a double crochet, chain 2, 1, 2, skip the next space, and then the last space, which is also the turning chain space, work a double crochet to finish off the row. So that is what the end of row 2 will look like. So let's move on to row 3. I'm going to just get a little bit of yarn off our yarn ball here. These bulkier yarn patterns go through yarn very quickly, and they're very fast projects to work up. So row 3, we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn our work. And then we're going to, in this first space here, work 2 double crochets. That's 1 and 2. So it'll look kind of like this. In the written pattern, I also refer to this space as the chain 2 space because the top here was formed by working a chain 2 in the previous row. So just as a side note, it's also referred to as the chain 2 space. We're going to work next 2 double crochets in each of these chain 2 spaces from the previous row, like that. Next space, 2 double crochets, like that. Next space, 2 double crochets, get a little more yarn, and then 1 double crochet into this turning chain space to finish off the row. Okay, so row 3 is complete, and it's starting to look like this, starting to look like the cowl from the photo. So let's move on to row 4. Row 4 is worked by chaining 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn. And then we're going to work a double crochet in the first space, and then in each space to the end of the row. Next space, work a double crochet, double crochet, and once again we're ready to pull a little bit more yarn out. We're just zipping through this skein really fast, and this is a tweedy yarn, so sometimes these little tweedy pieces are going to fall off, but that's okay. When you're finished your piece, you can just give it a good shake or even just toss it into the dryer for just a few seconds, and it helps kind of work some of those extra little things off that make the tweedy texture and appearance. Okay, so we're just working a double crochet in each space to the end of the row. And also in this turning chain space at the end of the row as well. Okay, so row 4 is complete. It's looking like a Cloudy Sky Mobius cowl every row we complete. Okay, so we're going to work row 5 next. Row 5 is simply worked by just repeating row 4. So we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then work a double crochet in each one of these spaces. Whoops, there we go. Okay, just doing the same thing we did again in row 4 for row 5, working a double crochet in each space across our row. Okay, then you're coming up to the end here, and you'll work a double crochet in that turning chain space as well. Okay, so that's how you work the Cloudy Sky Mobius cowl, and I like to just kind of give things a tug and straighten them out a little bit. So this is what rows 1 through 5, let me zoom out just a little bit, there we go. This is what rows 1 through 5 look like. To continue your Cloudy Sky Mobius cowl, you're going to work rows 2 through 5 until the cowl is the desired length. Again, the shorter version is 28 inches long, the longer version is 38 inches long. So whatever your preference, and if you have a preference other than those two lengths, feel free to do that as well. And you're going to repeat rows 2 to 5 until the desired length. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you now, and I'm going to work a few more rows because I want to show you how to do the Mobius twist, and I also want to show you how to seam the edges to make it a cowl, to make it a ring, a loop. So we're going to go ahead and work a few more rows so I can just show you that. So we've worked several more rows just to get a little length on our cowl, and now I'm going to show you how to seam your cowl. This cowl has a twist in it. So instead of just folding it in half and seaming it that way, you're going to put a twist in it. Let me pull this hook out. You're going to put a twist in the work, and obviously yours will be longer. And then bring the sides like this so that there's a twist in the work. Okay? And that allows it to lay nicely and gives it a little bit of interest when you're finished. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. I'm going to show you how to do a slip stitch seam and a single crochet seam, and then I'll show you how to do a whip stitch seam with a tapestry needle. So let's get our edges lined up here. So we have our working yarn. We already have our hook on the loop. We did not fasten off. So what we're going to do is we're just going to insert the hook into, this is the bottom edge, into the stitch from the bottom. Where's our, there we are, our working yarn. So we can just wrap it around the hook, bring it through both layers, and then go into the next one. So we're going through both layers. Just bring it all the way through all those loops, like that. Wrap your yarn around hook, bring it through all the layers, and then bring that loop through that. That's the slip stitch seam. Okay, take it through both loops of both pieces, bring it through all the layers, bring that loop through that loop. to finish the slip stitch. Again, insert your hook into all the layers, bring that loop through that loop. So that's what the slip stitch seam looks like. So let's back it up a little bit, and I'm going to show you the single crochet seam as well. So let's get it back on our loop here. Insert the hook on the other layer. So you're kind of just sandwiching everything together. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through both loops. Now insert your hook into the 2 loops from that edge, the 2 loops from that edge, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through both layers, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through both of those loops. See, we did an extra wrap yarn around hook instead of just pulling the one loop through the other like we did with the slip stitch. So then insert your hook into the first layer, both loops of the first layer, both loops of the second layer, yarn around hook, bring it through all the loops, yarn around hook, bring it through both loops. So you can do this all the way across for the single crochet seam. Just like that. So that'll kind of look like that. That'll give you, the single crochet seam will give you just an extra little ridge there. But it's totally up to you, however you want to do it and however you feel comfortable. So let's back it up again, one more time. So for the whip stitch, we're going to actually cut the yarn and go back in with our hook and go ahead and fasten off like that, okay? So then we'll get our 2 pieces together, and then you can take, I always use matching yarn, take a piece, 12 to 16 inches long, thread your tapestry needle, just like that. And then you're going to do the same thing, and I would recommend taking these ends and laying them across. And then you're going to do the same thing, but with your tapestry needle. You're going to go in through those loops of that layer, in through those loops of that layer, pull it, but not all the way. And again, we have our tail up here. We're kind of weaving that in as we go along. In through 2 loops of the next, in through 2 loops of the next. And this bulky yarn, sometimes you have to like kind of feel around and look because it is bulky. And then pull that. There we go. And we'll just keep doing this all the way across. Both layers, both loops of both layers. And then you just do this all the way across to do the whip stitch. And then when you get to the end, you can tie it off. I like to tie it to the tail that's already there. And then you can go ahead and weave all the ends in. And then this one you can just kind of tie a knot there like that, just kind of secure that tail, and then you can weave that tail in. So let's take one of these tails here. I'm going to just show you how to weave it in really quick. Just thread our tapestry needle, and then little tweed pieces falling off, and then we're just going to come in, run it in one side. You'll have a few ends left when you're done, especially if you do the whip stitch seam, you'll have a couple extra ends. So come in through one side, then bring it back the other side just to get that end secure and hidden. Okay, then you can take your scissors, fasten off, give it a little tug, and it'll disappear. So we're all finished. That is how you crochet the Cloudy Sky Mobius Cowl. And again, you'll want to weave in the rest of these ends. I just did one to show you. But that's how you crochet the Cloudy Sky Mobius Cowl. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the red subscribe button to get all the latest Fiber Flux video updates. Thanks again!